Well, we're back, and maybe the first time ever on Labor Day weekend on an actual holiday. We didn't screw this up. We did have. We are having. We were prepared, and we are
Everyone
here.
remembered.
And I even heard a rumor that we're going to get Kangaroo's going to join us a little bit. Speak of our friend down under. Hey.
Oh, he's muted.
What's crack-a-lackin'? Oh,
we can't hear any of your gibberish.
Oh, yeah, in his Aussie language. So, what have you been painting, Alex? I know you've been painting a bunch of stuff.
Oh, well, I still got orcs on the table. I started assembling Scud for Crossroads, which is in 2 weeks. So, fingers crossed I actually get them done.
Are you the real Scud or like a?
Yeah, I have like my old. I use an old Reaper demon who's got a ball of fire in his hand as my Scud from way back. But I acquired the Mantic Scud last year.
It's a good model.
So it is really good. And it's nice. It's bigger than what I have. So I think it'll be a nice centerpiece. So that'll put me over 1,000 points of rats painted this year, which is more than every other army that I'm already working on. But that's how it goes.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? You've been assembling any models, painting any models, doing anything like that? Any hobby? No, we can't hear him. Yeah, his tin can string must be come detached. Well, I'll jump
Chuck,
in.
Just to answer Chuck's question. OG original Mantic Orcs.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Rob.
No, it's all right. Bazinga, we got all these great people joining us. We got up to 10 people. Well, I will start with. So I got some new bling for my army.
Yeah. Oh, he's here.
So hey, the man down under is here.
Is that working now?
Yep, sounds great.
Okay, cool.
So
great.
You guys all know people have D8s or D10s, and they have little racks they put them in behind the models, right? But I'll be honest with you, 3D printing is bullshit. I don't want to see no goddamn lines. I don't want to see any of that shit. I want professional stuff. And believe it or not, I found it. There's a company that had a Kickstarter for injection molded D10 holders. They come in 3 sizes.
Nice.
And they come in 6 different colors. And you know what? No junky ass lines. No junky lines. And they're
Mate, obviously your printers aren't good enough.
Rob hates filament.
Well, no, I do hate filament, and even the resin stuff. Even that's just not my bling. So, and then I bought those. They weren't that expensive. I bought 22 of them, various 1s, 2s, and 3s, and I think I paid $35. So I don't know.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Well, it's not me. It's the printers, man. I mean, even the best printers have lines. So I like this. And you know what else? It's much stronger than 3D printing.
That's true. That's a very good
that's
point.
That's valid. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went around. Should I buy wound dice D10s that match my army? And then I thought that's a bridge. That's a bridge too far. Right? I don't want to have a whole bunch of different colored. I already do it with regular dice, right? My D6s. I don't know if I want to. So I just went with classic red. For the blood flow. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You just roll them around. Anyways, thought I'd share. It's a pretty cool thing. I've been thinking about for a while. There's that. I have been painting nonstop. By the way, that's called G10 Spin Down. If you want to check it out, they've got ones that come with dice or without dice. I just bought the ones without dice, and I don't know, a couple bucks for maybe $3 for 2 of them.
Oh, they're on Etsy at the
different
moment.
Colors too. So
what have I been down on Etsy?
Yeah, right. So it was on Kickstarter, now it's on Etsy. And originally when I looked at it, I said, man, that's got a smooth shape, man. I was like, So I wasn't 100% sure, but when I went to the Kickstarter, and they must have had a mold made, injection molded. So that's cool.
Nice.
I'm not sure how I'm gonna store it.
Yeah, I'm all about the D20. I can't see any D20s.
I like the D10s. I do.
D10s are for chumps.
This is my favorite because I'm not. No, here's the thing. I'm not rounding it up. I'm going 1-0, 1-2, 1. That's literally the number. It's that's what.
This decimal system,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not adding it up. You're just
always has to be an individual.
He can go all the way to 99 or
And actually, now that I
it's
say
Rob's
that,
way on the
now that I say
highway.
that, hey, but now that I say that, I didn't need this one
that's a lot of wounds.
because they go to 99, right?
I don't know if you get triple
So,
devastated.
I don't know. I'm a dumbass, but I only bought like 2 of them or 3 of them. It looks like I bought 4 of the level 3. So, all right, that was dumb. Anyways, so I've been painting. For those who don't know this, we're in the United States and we have Labor Day weekend, so it means we got Monday off. So I started Friday night. I painted Friday night. I painted Saturday morning. I went to the shop, played a game. I came home. I painted for like 6-7 more hours. Sunday, another 8 hours. I literally have painted for 20 plus hours at this point.
Wow.
This weekend, and I'm not done. And it's irritating me. Like I had to today. I was like, I had to get up because my back was hurting. I was like, okay, I've been sitting in this chair too long. So this is what I'm working on. For those who don't know, I have Kingdoms of Endless. It has a giant in it, and I have a bear from
that's nice.
From Atlantis Miniatures, which is cool. He was based on a.
How does he do wounds without arms?
Well,
got no
he's gonna
hands.
get his arms tonight or
Kicks
tomorrow.
things. He just kicks things.
This fucking guy. This guy. Hey,
just
he'll be done eventually.
wraps his massive old fella around.
But what I'll say is, now this is a big picture, right? And you can see it's a big picture, but it doesn't really tell you. He's only about, what I like about him, he's only like right now like 3.5, 4 inches tall. He's not like ginormous, which is what I wanted, because in my case for my Kingdoms of Endless, he can't be taller than 5 inches, because like that's how I have it set up for my dragons, 5 inches tall. So he's got a club that goes like an extra inch, but it'll be fine. So he's under 5 inches. What's amazing though, this model is from a company called First Legion, and we talked about him a while back. He was $40, and for a resin model, it was fine. It's like 7 or 8 pieces, and I will say right now, this is the nicest kit I've ever put together. Resin, like you can't tell, but like this boot right here, that's one of the seams, but they recess everything.
Snug.
So the bottom of his leg goes into the boot a little bit.
Smart.
The waist goes down into the torso. So like it covers up all the seams, and you have like ropes and furs and stuff to cover it. It's
I love pinning. I cannot bring myself to
pinning.
I can't bring myself to pin anything, because I'm like, I've bought a model. Why the hell should I have to pin it? You know?
Yeah. These have you can see what it's on his arms. These big pegs. Everything has got a big giant peg. And I just took super glue and just went in there with a stick and like really spread it out and just stuck it in there. So so this is what he looks like from the front. I got a picture from the back.
If you get a good join with the blue super glue from Gorilla Glue, the impact resistant stuff, if you get a nice fit with that, you can't break it apart without breaking the miniature.
Yeah. I have
Gorilla. Not started the base yet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to get him finished maybe on Wednesday. I probably have maybe 3 or 4 more hours on the staff, and the arms are pretty big. I've only got the fingers and the nails painted so far. I got to do with the weapon. It's going to take me, and he's got more of this stupid cloth. And of course, everybody loves to like wet blend and work with white, right? Everybody loves white. White's everybody's favorite color. And teal.
Oh yeah.
So,
speaking of giants, I've got a segue. Yeah. Did you see the picture of the new variation of the giant?
Storm Chaser,
Storm
Giant.
Yeah. Awesome looking.
I like
model.
it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Had almost I need to, like, my first, I got to go back and look at the picture, but my first vibe, it almost had a bit of a Romanesque vibe too.
Mm-hmm. I think the whole Riftforge orcs have a bit of a Roman-y kind of
that's true
vibe. The Legionaries.
That's true, and if they were painted in that scheme, it'd probably look really sweet.
Yeah, like all the red.
Yeah, red and like brassy golds.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be nice.
Or bright blue.
Yeah. Could be red skin.
There you go.
By the way, we do need to mention, huge shout out to Rob Berman, who's now left Mantic.
Gone back to school.
Pour one out.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but we pour one out for our homie. He was a great addition to the team, and he really
as much as he was a goblin. He was the best goblin.
Yeah, for sure.
Look, and I think it's a really tough industry to have a job in, right? Particularly when you're very much customer facing, like Rob was. everyone's got their gripes, including we have our gripes on this show, and like it would be a tough job to be in. I think it'd be a tough job to get constant satisfaction out of.
Yeah, dealing
'cause
with
you would
us has
be
got to be a pain.
dealing
in the ass.
complaints and So good luck to him. I don't know what he's studying, but I hope he finds.
Hopefully, we'll get him over for a
next
Adepticon
job
at
is-
some point. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Hopefully he just like comes back, levels up, and then comes back into the industry and takes over or runs his own.
So funny story.
Actually, no, that's not the one I wanted to put up. I wanted to put up this first.
Okay,
Well, Mark,
yeah,
you
yeah.
need to have an army big enough to put a storm giant in, mate. So
Yeah, 500.
Yeah.
It's hard to fit a giant into a 500 point army.
I wonder, did Mark consult on the new ambush rules?
Yeah. Actually, I was going to bring that up today. Perfect for Mark Zelinsky, right? The ambush rules. So I hope you're going to buy that new book, Mark, for rules for under 1,000 points.
Yeah, he just told me that he was working on his next 500 point army, the EOD or the Emperor of Dust.
Oh yeah, nice. I'm assuming they'll still release. You go right.
Yeah, so actually, I can tell you who they are. They will. Yes, we just recorded with Winged Asar.
Winged Asar.
Too many companies.
Yep.
Winged Asar last night. And it should be coming out Wednesday. And there's a lot of books coming out, dude. I mean, like 4 or 5 still in the queue from the community. In addition to Mark Barber. I mean, in addition to Rob Berman. So yeah. We don't know yet. We don't know the rules yet. We're gonna
I got some idea, but just the unlocking will change, Adrian, basically. So, just I think if you think about what would really dominate at 1,000 points from a resilience and smacking too much face point of view, that's what they've tried to limit. So it won't be long. Like I would think towards smaller unit options rather than larger.
Well, and it's coming out in October this year instead of November, right?
Did they say start shipping in October? So that's good. So that it's obviously ready to go. I mean, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I know we've already seen a little bit of feedback of, the book's too big or whatever, whinging else. Well, but the reality is they sell their books always sell. It is a good selling point for them. So from a marketing point of view, I actually think it's a really good move. To push a new book out there that doesn't have any of the fluff, because that was part of the problem with the old book, right? Is people go, I've got this big tome and, a little bit of it is what I actually need.
Yeah. Well, and it's just nice to not have to if you take one book out of your bag when you're at home to look through and you forget to put it back in and you get to the store, you're playing and you have 2 out of your 3 books that you need, having it all in one book, I think is definitely a bonus.
Yeah.
I do
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, and I'm assuming they will, after selling the hard copy, have digital options available as well.
Yep.
Yeah. I did like all the, back when we were talking about models and should you buy Mantic models and all the wincing. Well, I'm going to buy the books. That's how I support you. And now today we get the flip side. Oh, the book is too expensive or it's too big. Guys, make up your mind. I mean, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And the reality is, what are they selling it for? Was it $40 US?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was 42 pounds with the magic cards, I think.
Oh, with the magic cards.
So,
I'd imagine in a hardcover book, there's not a huge amount of profit in that. Once you're paying people to design it, print it, but $50 US, Perham said. I think that's pretty good.
It's pretty reasonable. You don't have to buy an army book. You don't need to buy a supplement for any other rules. It's got everything.
Look, put it this way. Some people would spend $50 on a cookbook and you're going to get way more value out of this.
Yeah. How many of those recipes are you actually going to cook? None.
Yeah, exactly. And how frequently. But now you've got your weekly gaming companion. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Paul, is I always end up buying both. I buy the hard copy and then I buy the digital. I like both.
So I want to have one on my phone or a computer and then a hard copy just to it's easier to show rules or if you're trying to, find something with an opponent, having a hard copy is always nice.
Yeah. I mean, over time, I went heavily digital, but I just don't think it's as convenient as we make out. It's not as easy to search, and
you have the search
devices
function,
are quite small.
but it's like it takes time, and like PDFs on phones, when it's like a rule book PDF, like they're quite large files, right? So it takes time. Yeah. Just flipping to the page is a lot easier usually.
Yeah. Particularly when there's an index.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what else did we learn? So we learned there's going to be a book, and so you see the people that ask the questions instead of just watching the less than 10-minute video. There will be
5 minutes.
Clash of Kings.
Watch the video.
Hard plastic ogres.
So there will be Clash of Kings, but it's within the
we
book.
learned that.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
The FAQ and errata to date is rolled in.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And then you said then they had some about hard plastic ogres. So
the storm giant, and then the hard plastic ogres, and then hard plastic chariots. Which is exciting.
And absolutely. And then during the week, did Ronnie mention the app in the video, or during the week they hinted at an app?
Yeah.
So
no,
they haven't released totally what that will be.
But I'm I could give it. I've got Easy Army. That's fine. I'm not messing around with it.
What I will dislike about an app is that will have people going, well, even more so than what they probably do is, well, I don't need to bring a hard copy list because here it is on my device. Well, you're still not going to leave your device with your opponent for the whole game. And this is assuming it's an army builder, right?
Yeah.
Because he referenced Easy Army. So I'm assuming there's an army builder in there. Yeah. And I mean, one thing is I just hope they do it well and that they've paid a professional who's actually, it's their job, not a side gig.
Talented person,
because if it's a side gig person, then the chances for disaster are right up there.
Well, you want someone who's willing to support it too, right? Like with timely support.
Absolutely. So you have to assume it's an army builder, but I think, it's still not going to beat a hard copy list. No. So, I mean, hopefully it makes it a little easier to do lists on the fly when you're just like doing some list hammering.
Yeah.
But I can't see how that would necessarily be the case. Like Easy Army is fine on the browser, except for the fact that you have to log in all the time. Mm-hmm. To me, that's the only real knock on Easy Army is the constant logging in. And I assume you won't have to do that on an app. So as long as it doesn't look like bloody the other one, whatever old mate calls his, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Tactical table trash can. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah. Bring back.
So what events we got coming up? I've got Michigan GT coming up. If you're around in the Southern Michigan area, first weekend of October, I'd love to have you join us. It's michigant.com. What's interesting is I've been talking to some folks, and it sounds like a lot of GT's signups right now are a little bit less than expected. I don't know if that's like a sign of coming out of COVID or more likely recession.
Right? People are just getting a little tighter, tightening the purse strings a little.
Well, I think I told you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead. You're talking about.
No, I was gonna say, right now Dragonfall only has 4 signups, and it's all right. I think the hotel's very expensive, so.
Yeah, it's tough.
Do you think you're also getting stung with a bit of like too much saturation? Is there an argument for too much saturation of GTs at the moment?
I think we're getting close.
Yeah, maybe.
We're getting close.
Yeah, but see, what do you do? Let's explore that concept for a minute. What do you do about that? You can't tell people you can't run an event. I mean, I guess you can. The regions can limit what's a qualifier, right? But you don't want to limit, people's.
Yeah. So here in the Northeast,
to run an event.
In the Northeast, like to get max points for Masters qualifying points, you have to have 20 attendees, right? So if you have less than 20, you get 5 out of 100 points. You get 5. That's what you get. So for 20 attendees, you get 100 points. But every attendee less, you get 5 less points for getting first place. Right. So if you get first place at a 10-person GT, it's only 50 points, right? So
so there's that. Yeah.
And so the community will tell you if you could run an event because people will show up or they won't, right? And then it automatically becomes a qualifier if it's big enough and you get enough people. Yeah, right? I think it would be
what's funny
to do any more than that, right? Because at that point
we used to have
you stop people trying to be creative and start something new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think
in the Southeast
once a month
we had the thing where.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Alex.
I was just saying, like, we're getting to that point where like each region has like almost, during the peak season, we have one tournament a month, which is tough for most people to attend, right?
Yeah, and every week we're talking about either one or multiple tournaments that are on over there every weekend, right? I know in might be neighbouring regions which might not be too much to travel, but
yeah.
What were you going to say, Rob?
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, number one, our region learned about a valuable lesson. You just can't have it open, because if you just let hey, if you have an event and 20 people show up, it's a qualifier. What was happening is like small little cliques were like, hey, let's run an event. Let's get 20 of our friends to show up. And let's run 3 of them a year, and we'll make the Masters team. So you do have to do that. And also, to your point, I think a region does have to concern themselves with cannibalism, right? Of the, you need like 8 to 10 good events, right? Preferably, I know Texas is a little bit different. They do bigger events, but there's less of them. But, I think 8 to 10 is a sweet spot, right? And I think you get them established, and then you let them roll. Now, I guess the question to you guys, though, once they're all established, there's no room for anybody new to come in.
Well, you got to think,
so
within a region.
I don't know.
Within a region, like, it's about 12-hour drive across the Northeast, and it's not a large region. Like, most of the regions in North America are pretty large. Like, so if
Northeast might be one of the smaller regions.
Yeah, so like I'm just thinking, like, there's a lot of guys we had 20 people at King Beyond the Wall, and they're all local, like Buffalo guys being from the States, but they're only an hour away. But Orktown is 10, 11 hours away, right? So it's tough for most of the guys here to go to that tournament.
I do wonder if, for the size of Kings of War, because let's be honest, it's still not anywhere near what Warhammer was, right? Okay, so my feeling would be saturation point, and I actually reckon, Rob, you're better off aiming for, rather than 8 to 10 a year, that within region. I've been poor at it recently in our area, but I think bi-monthly works. I think kind of if you aim for more that 5 to 6, you're more likely to get more of a crowd, as long as you've got somewhere to host somewhere for a larger crowd.
Well, I was going to say, though, keep in mind, too, that some of these regions are so big that, like, from Memphis to Miami is 26 hours. So, like, that's one region. And so my point is, if you have 8 to 10,
it's spread out across.
And they're spread out.
But 4 to 6 might actually be you could actually travel to.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I think, for me personally, it's like that 5 to 6 hour cusp is like where it starts to like be like, it's hard to do in a weekend, right? If it's over a 6 hour drive, that gets into the difficult to like do on a drive back on Sunday night and go back to work on Monday kind of thing. So yeah. And then Justin mentions the winter thing. Yeah. It's hard to do a tournament where people have to drive 5, 6, 7 hours in, from November to March or even February because of the weather.
This is where I think, though, that also that when you're talking about 8 to 10 is still having 1 days. Like, to me,
still 1 day, and one days are unlimited, right? Even if they don't count, they.
Yeah, so we do 6 a year, 6 1 days a year, and then we're aiming for 2.
So
2 here.
Mark,
two
we got a whole
GTs
show
here,
coming out. We got thoughts, and they're not good thoughts. So it's a bullshit topic. So I got thoughts.
Yeah. They're only good if I'm sending the invites.
If you don't keep the riffraff out, it's not a great invitational, is it? Enough said.
If you're inviting trash,
if you have bad game votes,
if
you have bad game votes being dished out at an invitational, what are you doing? Did you not vet your player? I mean,
yeah.
So what's coming? Matt and I are gonna get together and have a nice
poke the base.
Yeah, Matt and I are gonna get together and we're gonna have a nice chewing of the fat, if you will. So.
I mean, can you tell me about this whole idea about GT, right? Grand tournament.
Yeah.
What defines? Does it just have to be 2 days? Like that is a term we don't use, right? But you guys do.
It's from the.
It's a 2 day.
It's a holdover from the grand tournament which was the Warhammer 2-day tournament, and then it kind of just turned into everyone.
You get a GT. You get a GT. Everybody gets a GT.
Our first season, that's how it was. We ended up with like 12 or 13, and it was ridiculous because a lot of them didn't have a lot of players.
Yeah,
they were overlapping.
Yeah, now kind of just is shorthand for a 2-day tournament with more than with 28 plus 30 plus players. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's literally defined by. The days. Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
we'll just get a good time.
We've missed Gildy from the stream, haven't we?
We are. I'm going to sum up though. Here's my thoughts. I don't mind having an invitational, but here's the thing: if you want people to not take it so seriously, then don't keep score. Make it a narrative event. That's all you got to do. You don't have to be a special player. That's all you got to do.
No. And why do you need to promote an invitational if it's an invitational?
Yeah,
that's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand.
So if people beg to get on the list, then he can vet you, and then he can find out if you're a cheater or an asshole, and then he.
Well, we're all cheaters.
Well, that's true. Well,
everyone that plays tournaments outside of an invitational, is at risk of being a cheater.
Well, yeah. Right. Well, I was accused of collusion by a Russian once, which was hilarious.
A lot more come on that topic. That was one that really fired me up.
In the Clash in the Call to Arms, Call to Arms 5.
Right.
All the top 5 got called out for being in colluding with the Northern Kings scoring.
By the way, I will say there's been some negative backlash on Northern Kings. People go fuck themselves because the reality is this. Here's the thing. Blackjack is great for certain armies. So if people have blinders on that, they're like, "Oh, if you're playing certain armies, you don't want to play blackjack." And so
obviously what is happening is that a lot of people don't enjoy it for whatever reason. I agree.
That's fine.
I agree with you that their reasoning is poor. Right, their reasoning, in terms of all it does, all scoring systems shift the goalposts, which is your point, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think they're not looking into that, and they obviously don't like the way that it shifts that. I think that's okay, but
it's fine.
Get rid of the 5-point floor, and I'd feel a lot better about it. But but it does incentivize
5-point floor, same as 0, right? I mean,
exactly. Just call it 0. It's 0.
It doesn't matter. But I still think there's probably room for a new system that we've been talking about this, and we'll have to get off our butts and actually put something together that blurs the line.
Yeah, I toyed with it. I think I won't do it this year, but I think it's so hard. I think for the next Clash of Kings, I might try and go back to some sort of win loss draw system. But yeah, and you'll be proud of me, Rob. So I'm working on the pack at the moment for January, and there is going to be paint scoring.
What?
Hey!
Do Australians even have paint brushes? Do the paint brushes from the world actually make it to Australia?
Yeah. But it'll be paint scoring that honestly, if you try, you should get full points, right? But it is broken down and more in an effort to try and, not take the piss about.
Well, so you're giving them effort. You're going to score them on effort too, not just results.
Not execution effort.
Yeah. It's not scale related based on quality, right? It's did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And there are points attributed to each of those categories. So I heard something interesting on your podcast that we could talk about from Masters, Rob. I heard someone, yours, Countercharge. You're on it.
Okay, Countercharge.
Yeah.
Your other one, your private
part 2. Was it the part 2 of the Masters? I think. And there was discussion.
Yes.
And I can't remember.
I know what you're gonna say. Throwing shade.
I can't remember the names involved, but there was discussion about where two players played, and one player declared that he didn't know which scenario he was playing. So the other player went, okay, well, why don't you basically take that turn again and do what you would have done?
Yeah, right? It wasn't quite that bad, but basically he was more conciliatory and say, hey, sorry, and there were some players that ruffled their feathers.
Yeah, how would you guys feel of that? I mean, for me, I don't expect someone to do that for me if I was the person that had forgotten. right? But I do not buy into the thing
So
that
I don't
has a
know.
knock-on effect to other people. If you don't want to play the best and the people that deserve the win to get to the top, go jump in the bin.
But yeah,
Well,
it's a tough
take
one.
a step back. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go, Alex.
Okay, in my last game at King Beyond the Wall, we were playing push, and it was like turn 5, and my opponent moved his Ogre Warlock past the middle token, thinking that it was an objective, not a loot token.
Right.
But he didn't say that. He just moved the Warlock past it, and I didn't think anything of it. And then I flew Scud over the next turn and picked it up. And he's like, "What?" Steve, that's Steve in the chat.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "I didn't realize that was a loot token, even though it's push. Everyone's played it multiple times. We explained it at the beginning of the round. I actually explained push all the rules to the table next to us while we were before deployment, because they asked, "Oh, how does it work?" And I'm like, I just read it out loud to them. So turn 5 rolls around. And he's like, "Well, I would have totally done my turn differently," and I'm like. Well, yeah.
Oh, that's a classic line. I'm gonna have to use
But it's
that
like
one.
both of us he had just gone through his whole turn.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize his mistake till my turn. Like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go back a turn, right?
No. And I don't think you should have to.
Right. So like he misunderstood the scenario. He did something misunderstanding that. And that was his bed. He made it. He's sleeping in it, right?
Yeah, and I don't think you should have to. So don't get me wrong. Like I don't think whoever let him do that should have to, and I don't think that should determine whether someone's a good or bad sport at all.
Right.
That's just it is. But what the person was complaining about is that by that player letting him do it, was that it affected everyone else negatively in the room. Because then you change the outcome of the game.
And the team, the guy that let him do it.
Because then you change the outcome of the game.
Team, right?
It's true, though. That is true.
But you're taking one game out of 6, right? And theoretically, if he chooses to do that, you are actually ending up with the right result based on them playing the right scenario, right?
But no, part of playing the scenario is knowing, being aware. Right. Like if I make a bunch of moves and then I'm like, well. And then I start rolling dice, but I'm like, oh no, I don't actually. You know what? I would like to redo all of my charges and all my movement after.
And you shouldn't, and you shouldn't necessarily be allowed to.
So and that would negatively affect placings. We had, sometimes you have players who give up, right? We've had this discussion, and it's like,
and then
a game goes poorly. It's turn 4, and they just stop trying. And it ends up a blackjack or like a 25-5,
which is
where
bad.
which could have been a 17-4, right? And that does affect rankings, right?
That's
and it affects matchups for the rest of the field.
So
that's a good point. But if you want to be the master, if you want to be the master, you got to play through the best 6 anyway, ideally, right? So,
I don't think.
So my thing is does it actually affect the outcome that much?
No, I'm just saying it does affect. It does affect the outcome, though, right? Saying it doesn't is not true.
You're saying hypothetically, if he would have played the scenario correctly, right?
Yeah,
that's a big hypothetical. That's like woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? We don't know
exactly. So he didn't play it correctly, but then his opponent let him take a turn back.
Yeah, but what I'm getting out of this is we are more gracious in the United States than in Canada. That's what I'm getting.
Well, yeah, it's just a facade up here. We're not actually nice.
I have another random thought that I've been thinking about.
I disagree with this comment too, because I don't think that's a personal thing. Like, a lot of people find their tournaments for fun. I mean, you're playing for a trophy. You're not playing for $1 million.
A tournament should be a fun game.
Yeah.
But I would probably remind the player, hey, we're playing whatever. I'm usually gonna have a conversation
if you realize, right?
I grab the pack and I say, hey, so we're playing Scour. Because if I don't know the player, I'm gonna say, Now, obviously, Masters is a different deal. But in a normal tournament, I'm going to ask them, have you played Plunder before? To make sure they understand how to play. Because I'm not a gotcha guy. But here, let me ask you this, though. Along the same lines, I've been listening to some 40K podcasts. Okay, and I know I don't play 40K, but I think there's some things that we can take out of that makes me wonder: do we really? Let me frame this: clocks. I see the point of a clock is to make sure we get the round done in a round amount of time.
Correct.
And that someone gets the right amount of time, right? They get their fair share, right? But in an instance where someone's only used half their clock and someone's getting ready to clock out, I hate the clock. I hate the dice down rule. I think it's stupid. If there's time left in the round, as long as both people got, I want to see games go to conclusion, go to finish. If there's time in the round, every time.
Counterpoint is though, Rob. Counterpoint is though, like let's just say you've used half your clock and your opponent's used all of theirs, and then you allow them to start using yours. What if then you don't finish your 6 turns because they've used up all of yours as well?
Using your clock. Yep, that's right.
Oh, sorry, you just froze and I missed half of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you froze and I missed half of it. Sorry, what was your response?
No, I think that's okay. If you're gracious enough to give them some of your clock, I mean, people that are doing this they're not like giving up like so much of their time that the player is you're gonna run out of time. Like, for example, me, I've never clocked out ever, not once. Typically play fast armies. I know what I'm doing. I make my decisions and I push forward, right, wrong, or indifferent. So I always end up with a lot of extra time left.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, I just I don't know.
I think dice down is I know some tournaments do it differently. Like some will be like, if the clock stops, like dice down, no, not at all. You can't roll anything else. Some will say you can finish the roll that you're on or the combat you're on. You know, sometimes we've discussed, because we have some. I've never clocked out. I'm a diligent player, so I use up most of my clock most games. But there we have players here that are slow and will forget to turn their clocks on or start them. And then they're always, the last people, in the round.
But I would say that winning because your opponent clocked out is not a skill.
No, but playing on time is a skill.
I agree. And I mean, remember when the original packs clock packs also used to give you negative tournament points for clocking out? I could never get that. Like clocking out is punishment enough.
That is enough.
I also don't think that with time frames that we should set those time frames based on the lowest common denominator. So like, I don't think those time frames should be set based on our slowest players, right? So I think, nor should they be set on the quickest players, right?
Right.
But they should be somewhere in the middle.
So I don't follow his comment. He says, I've seen players time out.
In 40K, players will
don't use. He's saying that they're not using chess clocks.
Yeah,
so
he's saying they're not using chess clocks.
They'll have round
timers.
Stops
them losing.
So they'll just stop playing. They'll play so slow that the other person can't finish their round.
That's the point, right? That's the point. A clock does prevent slow play, right?
Yeah,
and you can tell if someone's slow playing you.
Yeah, they're moving all their orcs one at a time.
Well, my point is not just like scoring systems. Not all armies are created equal. Now you can argue, well, you chose to play goblins. Well, so why should I be punished because I chose an army that has a lot of units?
It's a style that takes
more
time.
We're all playing Kings of War.
You have to accept that, though.
But I know. But what I'm saying though is, should they get more time? Because they got more units.
Yeah, but I just think most time frames are set generously enough that they allow for that. I still think people that are clocking out with horde armies are still probably just thinking a lot more.
If I can run 34 unit strength rats on time, everyone else is fine. That's all.
So that probably speaks to the fact, you probably shouldn't take that at your first tournament with if you've never played.
Also, don't take take a list that you've played before to a tournament, right? It's like it's all about you have to be familiar with your rules of your army. You have to be familiar with how you're going to deploy and what you're going to generally do. It's all muscle and brain memory, right?
Yeah, sure, and polka.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a comment back up here I wanted to put up.
Mhm.
Who did I? Something about where'd that seed rule comment there?
Oh, right.
Facebook user. Who was that?
Sorry.
Facebook user was
Nick Brooks.
Nick
It won't.
Brooks. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
it won't show
absolutely
up.
not, because I can guarantee
It's
you
a-
it has
it's-
not been
it's
play tested
asymmetric,
and balanced.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
it'll be hell of a fun on Friday night.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, if they've updated the ones that were in the Clash of Kings 2019, I'll be very excited because I played a few games and there was a couple things that were broken about the game, but yeah.
What's ADA? Does anyone know what ADA is?
American Disabilities Act. Come on, you damn Australian.
All right.
You don't care about handicapped people? Come on.
They're all Australian, right? So
They're all in Australia.
No, actually, we had an incredible disability system here for supporting those with disability in terms of access to treatment. All publicly funded, 100% publicly funded. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's Impera makes a good point. I mean, there's lots of things that can affect the gaming experience too, right? And I think everyone has a little bit of a onus on them to try and make that experience better for everyone.
Yeah,
you know,
that's part of sportsmanship.
And not use excuses of this is the way I am, so just accept it.
All right.
And I think we talk about sportsmanship scoring or sportsmanship quite a lot, and it's like part of it is just like being respectful of your opponent, and part of that is being respectful of their time, right? And the time of the TO and the organizers and everyone else, right? It's not just about being a good sport to your opponent, like in the moment. It's for the whole event.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think for anything that is behavioral, right? Every person has capacity to improve something that is behavioral rather than just accepting it as a thing. You know, whether that's use of the clocks, you know, how you react to bad things happening in the game, whatever. You know, everyone has an ability to do something about that.
And everyone chooses to go to the tournament. Everyone chooses their own army, right? You can choose a smaller army.
So Mark made a comment. I'll show everybody the comment. And this is how my brain works. I go from that, I think of Rashad, and then I think of the U.S. Masters that we just held. So, U.S. Masters, the bids are in. And so
we've got Mountain Region. Before we talk about them?
Yeah, they're already voting behind the scenes.
They are. So okay, cool. Yep.
I mean, I don't know if the bids, if I don't know what the regions have done with them, but I mean, I won't share the particular other than generic stuff. But what's interesting about this is that we've got Mountain Region, who hasn't hosted before. They're gonna host it in Omaha if they win the bid against Mid Atlantic, and they're I think Washington D.C. right. So and the bids are like I think it's like $20 more for Washington D.C. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, that comment that is really interesting, is that Omaha has a dry venue, right? And this is going to sound crazy. I think it's time we have something like that. I don't drink, very, very rarely, and it makes me uncomfortable when I go to some of these events and we have these like guys that are just so drunk they can't control themselves. It would be nice if we can learn to control some of the drunk shenanigans that happen. That it's not cool. Like getting drunk and puking all over the place is not cool. Being drunk and falling out people's armies is not cool.
In Australia is the vast majority of venues are dry. Until recently, Clash of Kings was dry. And so those events that were where alcohol was involved, they become known for those events because that's different, right? And so then you choose to go to that event because that's what you want to do. You want to have a good, your idea of a good time is, you know, getting reasonably sloshed while you're gaming, whereas our norm is dry.
Yeah.
So it's very different here.
Convict, right? That was a drunken shenanigan, right?
Nah, I don't think it for always. No, there was Castle Assault in Newcastle. Has always been it's held at a veterans club with very cheap prices, and you know.
But the reason why I bring it up, I think it's going to be interesting.
Are great.
Yeah. It's just gonna be interesting to see if the Masters players and the regional reps vote for a drive, because we've already used the venue a bunch of times. It's the place to host Bug Eater.
Yeah,
and you could have 500 people in Best of the Rest, and you still wouldn't be ass to ass. This place is huge. Like,
right.
Which bid?
Enormous.
In Omaha.
Omaha. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just
so that's
I'm really watching. I'm kind of watching the comments coming in and stuff, and I'm eager to see how it plays out. Because I mean, certainly
the problem
there's a part of our...
is with. Yeah. Sorry, Rob. You go.
No, go ahead.
No, I totally agree. The problem with when you take a large amount of people and a significant percentage of that people are sloshed, then you do not know how individuals behaved when their ability to reason is impaired.
Yeah.
Right. And it could only be a matter of time before something bad happens, you know?
I've got
like, for example, punching on in Australia is not that rare, you know? So if you had two idiots that had a bit of a proclivity towards violence and they're both drunk, it won't be long before someone gets king hit and you could be dead.
What's a king hit?
Oh, sorry. That's basically just winding up and...
All right.
Like a sucker punch.
There was a Warhammer tournament called Wapaka, which was known for its craziness, to the point where even they had to rein it in when somebody got so drunk and smashed the bathroom up, and then all the players had to chip in like X amount of dollars to cover the $4,000 worth of damage that this asshole knocked down all the dividers. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, yeah. Here we go. Some more comments.
But yeah, we had the wall, we had it at a dry venue this year. In the last 2 years, we had it at a Veterans Association that has like $4 beers. So like cheap and plentiful, but like no one ever gets like wasted, like to the point of like everyone has Canadian. Like a beer per round maybe, and like kind of few in the evening. And like this year we had it at the game store. No one drank all day. Everyone was fine. We all went out for dinner together, and you know that's when we had a few beers, and then we went home. It was a great time. Like I don't think you need to have a licensed venue. It's I know it's important for certain people, but I don't think it's necessary to have a good time.
No. And particularly when you, like you say, there is a 2-day GT, right? So you have that option of after gaming going somewhere else.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday night we get together.
Licensed or
So I'm eager. So if those of you Masters players out there, reach out to your region rep, and they'll share the bids with you. Give them your feedback. They're voting. I think voting.
Yeah, you would hope they wouldn't have to reach out to get things.
Well, I don't know. I haven't actually been going into the different players.
Yeah. But well, I certainly hope that's how it works. Is that it's automatically shared. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, do you think because neither of these have hosted before, correct?
No. Well, I mean, technically, Mid Atlantic hosted the first two when we're still doing Warhammer. So it was Warhammer, and it was first two in North Carolina. Then we went to the West Coast for the third one, Warhammer. Warhammer died, and then I hosted in Nashville, and then from Kings of War, and then the rest is history. So at this point, really, who hasn't hosted in
Kings
of War is just Mid-Atlantic, Mountain, and the West Coast. But West isn't ready yet. They've got a few more years, I think.
And I think they know that, and they're aiming for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is what I'm kind of getting at. You know, all right, maybe I'm old and fuddy-duddy, but like, I wonder if, let me back up. I'm not bringing my daughter to an event that's going to have heavy drinking. It's not my thing. I'm wondering if it does stop some people from going. Because I mean, I know we've had comments in the past, people that are like on AA, you know, whatever, they're on the wagon. They don't feel comfortable, right? Coming to those drunken brawls. I just wonder would we grow more if we didn't have such a let's get, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
King Beyond the Wall, the Sunday at Black Knight. Sunday, I think, is Pokemon Day. So it's like, it's kids and their parents. And it's like, so we're sharing the space with those people. And it's like, we couldn't drink during the day Saturday, so none of us were like hungover. But like, if like a bunch of bleary-eyed, you know, hungover, you know, dudes come in, like, it's a totally different vibe.
Having said that, I also don't know what your
Yeah.
laws are like there. In Australia, we have responsible service of alcohol, right? So that
Yeah.
it's on the bartenders that if they think someone's
Yes.
had too much, they're meant to cut them off from service. So,
Right.
like in theory, we should be able to hold these events, and those people should never end up in the way that they are.
I used to be a
Theoretically.
bouncer. We have those rules at bars too, and the number of fights I had to break up was, innumerable. Like
And
people.
let me say this: I hope I'm not giving people the impression that like all of our tournaments are drunk nasty.
No.
I'm just saying there's a lot of alcohol flowing at some of these events.
It's a possibility.
There are people that pass out and they don't show up the next day. TNT had several people that had too much to drink and couldn't come the next day. Which, I mean, I guess it's their loss, but I just I don't know. It's something I think about.
I mean, Luke makes really good point. Yeah, I mean, for us, like in Australia at face value, you probably don't get anywhere that consumes more alcohol anywhere in the world. Yet for some reason, we're sensible at games.
Yeah,
at gaming tournaments. Right.
I think it's a bit of a that change in like mentality of like when people who, if it's like just your normal going out on the weekend, that's one thing. But if it's like that's your time to let loose and let go and just blow off steam, like it becomes problematic potentially for certain
I think the problem for America is it's becoming cultural within the Kings of War gaming system, right? Potentially. Like it might not be yet, but you probably don't want it. It is probably not healthy for that to become synonymous with the Kings of War gaming event.
And maybe I'm overstating this because I'm thinking back now. I'm thinking, hell, a lot of the there's probably plenty of events that are in dry. I mean, my event's in the store. We don't have alcohol at Kings of Memphis.
No,
you can have it later on, but so I don't know. It's the things I think about. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want the scene to grow, and anything that can stop that growth is we got to fix it. And I.
Having a dry event every like 5 or 6 years is not the end of the world.
So that'll be interesting. I mean, and you'll probably, I mean, I'm guessing, Rob, the way votes are done, it's literally you just vote, you don't provide reasoning, so we'll probably never know.
Well, I mean,
is that the way it works?
Correct. The region rep votes, right? But
but then the region rep won't provide a reason about their vote to the Masters Committee.
They might. They might. Like the South, I think, just takes a poll of their players and just says, "Okay, that's what we're voting for." It's and other ones, the region rep just decides on his own or her, and decides says, "Oh, I think I know my players well enough, and I'm just going to make the decision." Interesting. Well, should we wrap it up, boys? It's been a good topic.
I mean, this is another one in Queensland. Probably they're all missing their front teeth just so they can pour the beers down better. So, and then the game stores are still dry. But I mean, it's a good point, Rob.
I just wonder.
Yeah, it's something to consider.
These are the things that keep me up at night.
I mean, that must be. You must have a good life if these are the things you're worrying about.
Hey, man. By the way, number one, I'm hoping all you Americans enjoyed the college football weekend that we just had. What an unbelievable weekend. I mean, unbelievable. Never had that many matchups of, top 10 players, top 10 teams before. And then, you guys, I started watching Welcome to Wrexham. Have you guys watched this yet?
I haven't watched it yet. No.
So Ryan Reynolds and a guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia buy a non-professional soccer team from Wales.
Yep.
They're so.
And did you see that he didn't tell his wife?
It's not.
He didn't tell his wife until he'd already bought it.
Oh, is it like a real? Is it real?
Yeah.
Like
Ryan Reynolds.
They're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
They actually bought it.
Scripted.
And it started in 2020. They're through episode 4 of the first season, and they played out in 2020. They're into 2021, I think, and they brought in a new coach and a bunch of new players, and they had to put in a new pitch. So if you haven't watched it, it's on Hulu, but it's also an FX show. It's great. Really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know what else you guys been watching. You guys been watching
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon.
Don't say it.
And it's all right. But and then the
yeah, it's not. It's
what's-
not.
what's
It's
the,
not bad yet.
what's the new Hobbit one on Prime?
The
No,
War of the
we
Ring.
won't talk about that.
Oh. We got about
Visually
10
stunning.
minutes in.
My mouth.
Visually
Visually
stunning.
confused, but in a lot of
Yeah.
CGI.
Dude, like it was. Well, here's the
But
thing.
like story so lacking.
If you're gonna,
Oh.
the story is terrible. Like, well, as soon as like I'm like, well, where's Galadriel's husband? He's supposed to accompany her on the thing to Linden. I'm like, they don't follow any of the canon. I'm like,
They
oh,
can't.
okay.
They're not allowed to.
No. There's a
Oh, is
little
that
tiny
so?
bit.
Yeah.
Right? Little tiny bit. The appendix. They can follow what's in the appendix. But like Gandalf, not Gandalf. Come on, bro. We all know it's supposed to be Gandalf, but you can't say it because.
So why
don't have
I'm not up on that. Why couldn't they?
Thank God for the Embracer Group.
IP rights. They have like it's all split up.
They
into
only have the
different
rights to the
chunks.
appendix. They only have the rights
so
to the-
Tolkien.
They don't have the rights to the
sell it off.
Silmarillion. They don't have the
Yeah,
rights.
right. So at that point, why
Well,
would you
and the only
bother
reason why they're
knowing
able
the
to make
amount of
this-
blowback
You're
gonna get?
Amazon. Like pay what it takes to have the whole story.
Yeah, and why would you want the
Well,
blowback?
so they bought MGM. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it terrible, man. I couldn't.
Yeah,
to be
right.
fair, I couldn't get through the first episode. Hobbits, but they're not hobbits because they don't have the rights to the Hobbit. They don't have the rights to hobbits. So they made
Yeah,
up.
see, I didn't understand all of that, but yeah, I fell asleep in episode 2 last night. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure at $53 million an episode, you know, and they're contractually obligated to make 6 seasons. Like, good luck, brother. This is gonna. I mean, go to. Yeah, go to Rotten Tomato. That's all I got to say. And it's not. People are consisting that. Well, Amazon shut down all the negative stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's like after
been
what they
ratio.
did with Wheel of Time, I'm not surprised that it's not good because that
It's
was-
just not
yeah,
token.
that is such,
It's just not token.
yeah. I'm
It's
so
just not
disappointed about the Wheel of Time.
yeah, it was
so
a mess.
disappointed.
It was a mess.
I like this comment. Yeah,
I mean, I love Fraggle Rock. Fraggle Rock was great.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right.
On
Well,
that
yeah.
note.
Let's not go down
On that
rabbit
down
hole.
note, you screwed us up, man. You were supposed to bring it up.
Everything else.
Yeah. So he brings up one point. This is true, but Christopher Tolkien died, and the moment he died, it is all about the money. But thank God, Embracer Group, one of the largest video game companies in the world, who also own Asmodee, a big board game company, has come in, bought up the rights for.
Well,
Lord
this
of
is
the
what I was going
Rings
to say.
and
Do you
The
know
Hobbit.
what? At least, do you know what this doesn't stop someone else doing now from Amazon? Is it doesn't stop someone else actually buying the rights and doing it better.
Correct. Yeah. Well,
It's like,
they've been
yeah.
bought
You're
out.
Jeffrey
Yeah.
Bezos. You have
Yeah.
more money than God, and you cheap out on it. And it's just like on the
Yeah,
licensing,
well-
not on the episode, like not on the production, but on the licensing.
Well, if you were Netflix,
Well, they're
why
not
would you
cheaping out
not
if
go to
it's- if
Asmodee
it's-
now and say
Yeah.
you've got the rights? Let's do this better.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you
Man, we have to
if
do a
you
culture show
honor-
at some point.
if
Yeah.
you honor the literature, right, you'll have people frothing. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with the Wheel
But
of
you know
Time
what?
too, right?
You gotta
can
buy
do
the rights
full
to the
production, but honor the books.
Yes.
But remember,
And if you want to update
Remember-
them, that's fine, but don't change the actual plot.
remember,
Yeah.
the showrunners comment. They wanted to write the novel that Tolkien didn't write.
That's what every writer wants to do, but they can't because
All right. Well, we'll
Oh,
have to
God.
like at some point really dive in a little deeper into this subject. Now,
yes.
House of Dragons, I don't hate. I'm digging that. That's cool.
I've only seen the first 2 episodes, and it actually seems pretty decent. Like it seems like mid-season Game of Thrones quality.
Exactly.
I mean, realistically, if they wanted
boys,
something to
it's
go,
almost
they should be setting up
Sorry.
for many, many seasons.
Yeah.
But, yeah. All right. Until next time, keep countercharging.
Fantastic.